Hi there. I'm Lisa DeZerns, and I'm a residential realtor in Shiloh, Illinois. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about my background because obviously you're online searching for an agent, or you're looking for somebody that's the right fit to help you in your real estate transaction, whether that's a buy or sell. So let's talk a little bit about who I am and why I might be the right fit for you. So I'm retired military. So if you're a military PCSing, um, just that experience alone might be I might be somebody that you might be inclined to talk to. But there's more to it than that. So I'm military relocation professional certified. I'm also certified as a residential realtor for veterans. And now, why does that matter? Well, it just means that there's a tiny bit more educational, tiny bit more resources because I've taken the extra time to go get those certifications. One of my buyer's agents is also military relocation professional certified, even though she's not military. She's learned from me, so she understands a lot about PCS. She's already worked with several military clients. My other buyer's agent is pretty new, so she hasn't yet done her certification, but she will. Her husband is a lender, and so she's got a fair amount of experience as well dealing with VA loans. And she's got his guidance and his experience in the industry as well to ask questions. So that makes our team kind of a good fit for you if you're military. So, what if you're not? Well, my other area of specialty is first time buyers, and that has always been simply because I like to take an educational approach to real estate. So I like to explain and guide you through all the things. So when we look at a house, I'm going to point out all the negatives, and I'm going to point out neighborhood qualities, and I'm going to point out resale. And especially if you're military, and I know you've got to sell this house in 3 to 5 years, we're going to talk about what does that look like? Is this house going to gain enough value? Is the neighborhood going to hold value? Or maybe I want to keep it as a rental. We're going to talk about that as far as profitability for rental down the road. I just had a client that bought a house less than a year ago, PCS'd out already, so they've already put theirs on the rental market. But we talked about that when they bought, so they already knew exactly what to expect. So all it took was us going in and doing a new CMA, making sure they had numbers in front of them. They knew the pros and cons of their decision, connected them with a property manager. Their house is on the rental market, they're off to the next duty station. Those kind of things are really important that we can provide that value and that long-term service. So when they're ready to sell, they'll come back to me. We'll help walk them through that as well. Or maybe they'll never sell. Maybe they'll come back to Scott Air Force Base again in the future in their career. We'll see. But those things really matter. The other areas that I really like is I really like working up with move up buyers, which are typically past clients of mine. So they bought, their starter home with me, and 5 years later we've sold that and we've bought a bigger house because now they're expanding their family. Maybe 5 years later we're buying bigger or we're buying smaller. It depends on phase of life. We have a lot of downsized buyers too that are people my age and older that are saying, "Oh, I need a 1 story. Get me out of this big 2 story that I raised my family in." So we sell that big 2 story. We go find them a ranch that suits their current needs. We've also, over the last few years, kind of developed a forte of working with older individuals who are either transitioning to assisted living or transitioning to nursing home. And unfortunately, we've had the privilege of working with a few that mom and dad's passed or spouse has passed, and now we're having to sell the home so we can liquidate the estate and we can make our future plans depending upon what that looks like. I also like to work with investors. Personally, I'm an investor. I own a couple of short-term rentals currently. We've done long-term rentals in the past. We've actually even bought and flipped a couple in the past. Not my favorite thing. I'm not a big flipper, but I am savvy to the investment world and holding rental property for long-term wealth management. So that's something I can guide you through too. I have numerous investors, some of whom own larger complexes, some own individual rentals, some are doing Airbnbs. Either way, we have the experience to kind of guide you in those things. And then we also work with clients who are looking to build new construction. A lot of people think when they do new construction, they just walk into a builder's showroom and, that's all there is to it. They don't need an agent, but they fail to think about all the things that an agent brings to the table. So we will help you scout and find the land. Builders typically aren't well versed in that unless you're just buying into their subdivision. So we'll go find acreage for you. We'll find an ideal lot. We'll work with the builder to figure out what improvements need to be done to the lot. We'll help you decide on floor plans, size, help you make decisions in the design, make sure title work gets done. We will help handle a lot of the negotiations. And then in the end, as it gets closer to being done, we'll guide you on inspections and title and closing, all those other things that factor into it. In fact, I've got experienced buyers right now that they're building their second home. And there's still times when I can show up for one of their meetings with the builder that I'm like, hey guys, think about this. And they've changed their decision or made a slightly different decision based on input, because I'm in a different phase in life. I'm in a different phase in business. We've been down those road. I already had a knee replacement, so I've already done the transition from 2-story to single story. Now, right now, everything's fine. You can manage the stairs, but where are you thinking long term? The clients that I'm talking about right now, like they're building their forever home. So we were talking about the stairs aspect in that too. And did they want a bench in their shower? Well, if you're building your forever home, put the bench in. It's only like a $600 ad right now, but it's going to mean all the difference in the world when somebody has a hip replacement or knee replacement. Those are things you've got to think about. You got to think about like anti-slip flooring. Lots of caveats that go into this. So it isn't just simply a walk into a showroom and here's the model I want. Can you just build this for me? It can be that simple, but it most of the time is not. And I can certainly help guide you on all those things. And then in most cases, if you're building, you've got a home to sell in the back end too. So who's going to help you time the sale of that? Do I need the proceeds from that in order to buy my new construction? How do we navigate that? And buy and sell at the same time is another dance that a lot of people have needed help with. They have questions about, not sure how to navigate that. How do I sell one and buy one at the same time? And, it comes into lots of questions. One is timing. One is getting you ready. Moving our stuff. How do I do the financial side of it? There's lots of things that factor into that. So there's a lot of things that real estate agents help with that people don't think about in the day-to-day. Sometimes, you go click and you do an online search and you're like, well, who am I working with? So it pays to really dig into and know who I'm working with. And then you see the backdrop behind me. Well, we just recently did this backdrop, and the point of it was to show you guys again kind of who I am. I'm prior military, I'm a Christian, mom, grandma, wife, sister. I mean, every acronym you can use for most women of my age. But that experience matters. It tells you where I've been in life. It tells you who I've worked with, what kind of experiences I've had. We've done VA loans. We've done conventional loans. Never personally done FHA, but I've had probably 300 clients that have done FHA. A few that have done rural development, a few that have done rehab loans. We have experience across the gamut. The 2 younger ladies on my team don't have quite as much experience, but they're learning from me. So when you're working with me and my team, you're not only getting my expertise, but you're kind of getting that young, ambitious, trying to build a business kind of mentality that they have too. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. So if this kind of resonates with you and you think that I might be a good fit for you, then reach out and let's have a discussion. Every conversation we have is just going to be open, honest discussion just like this. And then we're going to see where it goes and if I'm the right fit for you or not. Well, thanks. I look forward to talking to you soon.